our full build video. We're building the Rallyman vest. This is installment number 4. We built the harness, we built the shoulder pads, back panel, and the panel sets. We showed you all of that, and today we are going to build the pockets. I thought we were going to finish this today, but that might be a little ambitious. So there might be 2 more installments, that being this one and one more. We're out here because Brandel likes me to sew in the fucking dark, so that's where we are, in the dark. And I have some pockets here, and the pockets look like this. I've showed you guys how to build Rallymans in the past, and today we're going to build these Rallyman pouches. This is the Rallyman pouch. It's just like our Patroller CQB pouch in the manner of build. It just has a detached lid which velcros, which gives you more adjustment. And the way this basically works is we sew these together, which makes this 2 layers here, and then this folds in right here, which gives you 4 layers of material here, and then this boxes and comes in here, which is 6 layers of material. And that is where the mags rest when you put the magazines in here. They're resting on 6 layers of material. There's another piece that goes over, but that gives you a general idea. So what I'm going to do right here is just start ripping, and I'm going to rip these all together, sew all these together, just like this. When you see all these videos, Brandel has slowed it down greatly so that the camera can catch it. So for all you guys that think I sew fast, I actually sew like 10 times faster than that.
You just dub in your voice
for the most part, yeah. You know, I tried to do that. I tried to take video and speed the video up, and I never could get it to speed up with the audio track staying normal. Like in Premiere, I never could get it to work right. And I had them separated, right? I had voice track and everything. Yeah. You guys really have some magic with that video editing stuff. I've done enough video editing to know that I don't want to be the video editor. You better not take off one day and just decide you're building knives. Okay, there's those pieces. We're using process of elimination, right? When you get a bunch of parts and you're not really sure what they are, even though I invented most of these parts and have built them thousands of times, when you don't see them for years. So use the process of elimination. If you know what some of the parts are that go together, sew them together. Make less parts, and then just use deductive reasoning that can only be one of 2 things, and clearly it's not this, so that's that. All right, we're going to throw some edge tape. This is an edge taper. If this is the first time watching one of my videos, this is edge tape, also called seam tape or bias tape, or gross grain ribbon. And typically it has a grain and it all runs perpendicular across. And this folds like this, and that grain helps you to be able to go around edges and such, like you're about to see here. I just ate a cheeseburger, so I'm all gacked up. It's weird when you eat something you know you shouldn't put in your body, that you get punished. It does that, you know. I can drink pre-workout and not whey protein, pre-workout and aminos and stuff all day long. But if I ever drink a soda or something with sugar in it, man, it just messes me up. It's your body. You're like fighting, trying to excrete the poison. All right, so here's the edge taper. This is still connected. I don't like to cut the thread because then I have to pull it out and cut more threads. So I'm just going to, while it's chained together, I'm going to run this right in here. Now that I'm out, I'm going to separate that thread. Now I don't have 2 pieces of thread on both sides where I got to, cut 4 pieces. Edge taper, when you're going around a curve here, if you apply tension on the back of the edge tape and kind of drag the material, you can slow down. Watch, I'm going to hold this and see how it almost doesn't move anywhere because I'm holding a lot of drag there. And these videos are like learning to drive a manual transmission. I can tell you over and over how to drive a manual gearbox, but you're not ever going to have it until you just do it. I am out of thread. Hear the sound change, the pitch.
Yeah.
Go ahead and disconnect these threads so that I'm not continuing with pulling them back up through there. Both my tails, when I've pulled that bobbin thread up like I did, I want those tails kind of long. I want them back out of my way. I'm going to pull this back to that last stitch, which really the stitch is up here. I'm back before the last stitch. And I'm going to hold these tails here like this. If you don't, it will pull them under and you'll have a little rat nest. I want to hold the tails at all time. I'm going to press them down to the bed of the machine, or I'm actually going to hold them in my hand typically when I start. I've now started. I've got 3 needle strikes in there. That's 3 stitches. And now I'm just going to resume. Takes me longer to restart the machine than to sew this whole product right here, this whole line anyways. Just like that. I'm going to get some edge tape on this here across the top. Now that I'm out, I'm going to disconnect. There's that. You can work with this on the bed of the machine. I really like to just have it behind me. I don't have to keep getting it tangled up. That's what normal speed looks like. Those are my pieces of edge that I need to put on right now. There'll be more, but there's no more to do until I get more steps done. Now I'm just going to put the second line in these. And you can set your edge taper to where you edge right on the edge and just not put a second line if you want to. There's a ton of our products out there from other companies that don't have 2 lines of stitching in them. Now this one gets a little more tricky because it's not straight and it wants to pucker up. So I'm just going to catch. When you're going straight, it's nothing. But when you get into that radius, that edge tape wants to do other stuff. And this is where your tool, your favorite tool, is this little screwdriver. You used to be able to look up sewing screwdriver and you would find these. And they had good metal ones with all machined metal with super aggressive knurling on there. I've not seen those in a long, long time. Used to be when I was younger, you would go to any tire shop and every mechanic had one of these in his pocket. I don't know what they used them for. Now I'm going to flip this over, make sure I caught all my second lines where I want it. I did not. I've still got this big, huge edge here where it didn't catch it. So you can resew the whole thing, or you can just kind of tie in close. If you're using the same color thread on your edge tape, your customer won't notice it. I mean, somebody will. There'll be a dude, believe me, there'll be a guy with a damn microscope or a magnifying glass counting to see, make sure you have the same stitches. There's always a dude trying to check you on what you do who can't do what you do. Then again, I probably do want my airplane mechanic competent to fix my aircraft, and I'll bet that most airplane mechanics can't fly the airplane.
Yeah. True. I'd like to know that statistic.
Yeah, I'm curious. I always say, I'm like, I don't take fitness advice from people who don't look like I want to look, right?
Yeah.
And there's always an asshole that's like, all the Russian figure skaters, the fat guy named Ivan, he can't figure skate, but somehow he's the figure skating coach. I'm gonna go ahead and sear these edges where I cut them. If you're doing a ton of these, I just chain them together and then I cut them on the hot knife. But because we're not doing a lot of them, it's faster to just do them with the Zippo. Yes, there's other lighters. No lighter is as good as a Zippo when you're buying, you know, $1 a piece lighters. Pay the extra few cents and get the Zippos, and you can get the Zippos at any wholesaler like Sam's Club, Costco, Amazon. They come in packs of 50, and a lot of times they'll have a deal where they give you an extra 5 or so. Buy those, especially when you're starting out. Just buy those. It's way, way cheaper than buying singles or packs of 5 at Walmart, and they are better. I was talking about this on a podcast this morning. This is because I don't use laminate material. When you use laminate material, it's 2 pieces that's basically glued together, and they use a laser to cut it, and because they use the laser, it sears the edges, so they can just take this raw edge and sew it to this raw edge. It looks pretty rough, whereas on this stuff we're folding it under to conceal the raw edge. I have no doubt that we could build it without any of those hems. It just wouldn't look nice, but you'd still have a product that's out there 30 years later. Let's put some Velcro on there. We know the Velcro goes here. We already have this in our hands. It's 8 1/4, so I'm just going to slide this over to it so where it's centered. You will get to where you can look at this line and know that this is center here, this is center here. If you need to, we could just go 1 inch and then you can line the edges up. Whatever works for you. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as the result and the outcome is the same on these. That's a lot of this sewing.
first one you ever built of this?
Yeah, the black CQB vest. The build was very similar. It didn't have the chop pockets, which meant that this just came up here and curved right here. And the CQB mag pouch carries 2 M4 mags instead of 3. Yeah, I probably have some of those old vests, the original old ones, in the old shop. Have you ever been in the old shop? And there's all kinds of gear and shit just hanging in there. There's an alarm there, so don't get no idea. What do I have here? This is odd. These are the pistol mag lids. And rather than using 1.5 webbing, what I'm basically doing right now is creating the webbing. So if I want 1.5, these are 3 inches wide. So if you want to color match all your stuff, this is how you would make your lids. You would do that. We are not doing color match, all matchy match. We are actually doing black on OD, which is our old school black on OD. OG SOE.
OG.
OG SOE. Takes me longer to stop and cut the thread than to sew it. This is the pistol mag pouch. I'm hemming the top. And this is a fold there, and then another fold. If you can catch this in one and put that up and make that edge catch up in the bite, you can do this in one pass just like this. If you need to, just do your hem. And then come back and make a second one. I'm going to go ahead and do this just to run it through. But what I'm talking about there is where I did that first line. If you can't nail it perfectly, until you can get it, just do one, then come back and just catch a second. Right there, you'll feel it more. You don't have to try to hold it in place as you sew it. Now I'm going to come back and just try to nail that same stitch line. Pretty good. Now I'm just going to hem all 3 sides of this. And these are the actual pistol mag pouches right here. So you'll have on the side of each rifle pouch, you will have one of these pistol mags. And you can put pistol mags, multi-tool, flashlight, surefire light, 550 cord, small monocular, anything of that size, anything small like that. A giant chapstick, I guess, if you're a weirdo. There's always a weirdo.
Carries a gallon of chapstick?
Well, if you're carrying that much chapstick, you're definitely a weirdo, but not all weirdos are going to carry chapstick like that. Okay, one of these needs to be left, and one of them needs to be right. And we will go ahead and identify those right now before I forget and build 2 rights or 2 lefts. This is 1.5 inches. A lot of times when I make my marks and I'm building my patterns, I make these marks I want 1.5 inches of this inside concealed in here. And the reason I do that is so that I can use the width of the webbing to simply make all of my marks. That's why I set it at that and not 1 inch. So if you're following what I'm putting down there, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. You feel me?
You feel me?
You feel me? I'm a real boy. While it's in my head, I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to the next one. There are many times when I have built 4 of these and they've all been lefts or they have all been rights. So we will remove the possibility of that right off the bat here. Alright, so that's where that goes. We'll go ahead and get this pistol mag put on here, right here. Tacked at the top and the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and run one more line of stitching. You don't really need to. One will do it, but there'll always be that one dude with the magnifying glass. He has no girlfriend either. Okay, left and right, definitely designated, all good. Let's do some pull tabs here. These are the pull tabs that will actually clip and close the main pouch closed. And I have 2 more for the pistol mags on the side. We'll go ahead and knock those out at the same time. I made some marks on these earlier, which I cannot see. Because Brandel has me in a fucking dark ass closet.
Do I need to show them how much light you have?
You have, I don't have.
They're pointing at you.
I've got shadows.
And then you have a light right by your face.
Okay. You ever heard that saying, it's humming like a sewing machine?
Yeah.
This one's not. That crunchy, dry sound, it probably needs a little bit of oil.
Have you been oiling your red dots?
Oil. Occasionally, when it starts to squeal and make sounds that a sewing machine shouldn't make.
Oh.
They are pretty forgiving. You can really abuse them. I recommend that you don't, though. A penny's worth of oil will prevent a lot of maintenance.
Is that supposed to be every day?
Yeah, you might as well. Yeah, I mean, if you're for a factory, you know, and the machine's running 8 hours a day, you could get away with doing it every couple times you sew or something unless you walk away for months. I mean, then drop some oil through it. It basically has strings all through here.
Okay.
Each of these oil wicks has a string, and something moves, and they're called wipes. And that when you put oil here, it basically saturates the string, and the string drops oil or is rotated or hits a lobe or something inside, and it oils that surface that moves. Older machines have no oil pump, and you literally just lubricate them. And we have they're called zoom spouts. It's a little bottle of oil. It's got a really long tube, and you just drop a couple drops on each one of these orifices. I've never owned, well, I guess I have had some brand new machines, but they've always been set up from a sewing machine place. And I've seen sewing machine places actually put fingernail polish on these things. I don't know if they actually come from the manufacturers with these red dots. Now I'm putting the tab here, the fold over. That serves a couple purposes. It allows you to grab it if you need to easier. And it also, when you run it all the way out to the buckle, it keeps that from coming and unlacing out of the buckle.
Did you learn little techniques over time to make them all better, like every little piece? Or did it start out kind of the same, like tabs and everything the same?
We've definitely improved them and came up with quicker processes to achieve the exact same thing over time. But like, we have competitors that didn't do any of these tabs back when I started, right? They weren't doing any of this. And we made our tags bigger. And then you've got dudes that make the tabs completely just sewn the channel. There's no channel to it. It's just sewn there. And I look at that stuff and I really think that a lot of the people that were building stuff back then, the guy who designed it didn't have the ability to build it. So he would take it to a shop and kind of be like, hey, I want this, right? And the person putting it together, they just built, you know, whatever version came out of that. And a lot of times it was, you know, what was easiest, or they just didn't understand why that little extra thing was there.
Yeah.
Like most guys that run gear companies, you don't ever see them sew, ever. Even when you go back in any of their social and stuff, because they can't. They don't sew. They don't really even design. They just come in and they're like, I want a square type of pouch that holds this thing. And then you've got other companies that literally just, they'll order a piece of gear from somewhere and then send it to a cut sew shop and be like, hey, we want 4,000 of these. Which, whatever, I mean, business is business. You just have to decide what you're willing to do and what not willing to do in business. Okay, I don't need this yet. Let's go ahead and get this. Like, these Velcros run all the way to the edge and they're even because they go right here and they tack on and this becomes the pull tab. These ones hang over the edge, and the only reason they hang over the edge is they go right here to the edge. But when I box this, sometimes the edge of this would kind of flip out and it was just a raw edge and it didn't look good. So I made it longer so I could tack it down, get sewn in the seam, and then you never see the raw edge of that. It doesn't serve a purpose other than I just didn't want that raw edge sitting there. And it was definitely, like, we built thousands of these things without that extra step in it.
Is that just your preference if you were to have a bag?
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely. Nobody ever complained about it. Nobody ever said anything about it. And it would literally just be, I'll show you here. It would literally be, instead of this webbing hanging down over the bottom edge of the mag pouch, instead of the Velcro, it would just be chopped off here. And what I'm going to do is take this and sew this in here, and you can see this now gets concealed in here, and it pretty much comes up at the edge, but it's clean. There's nowhere for that to flip up and just kind of, you know, get abraded or ratty. It doesn't affect the function, or it definitely doesn't keep it from functioning if it were to get flipped up. I just want it to look good 30 years from now. Two inches. That's that number, 2 inches, if you're trying to figure out your pouch. The fold is at 1 inch, so I just put it at 2, and then I line this edge up here. And if you're trying to learn how to make box pouches, go buy one. Like, just buy one. You will save a lot of hair pulling and mathematics if you just buy one and then change it to do what you want it to do. I didn't do that, and I tell you to do it as having pulled out. That's why I have no hair. So you can see how it's kind of starting to box here. This side's boxed. Makes this nice area. Before I'm already ahead of myself. Let me put this pull tab on before I end up with this thing all sewn together and don't have this pull tab here on. It's easier to do that other side than this side always for me. One more stitch there. It's pretty sweet, right? If you're a young man and you're like, man, I just can't find the right woman, just learn to sew. She'll show up. A lot of wrong ones will show up too, but eventually you'll get the right one. I mean, clearly that's how I got Amanda, because I could sew. Maybe not, but both things are true. Am I out of thread? I am out of thread. Did you hear the difference?
Yeah, you can hear the pitch, like.
Yeah. You see me pull those scissors under the machine. What all I'm doing really is reaching under there and using this to lever this, and then this pops out. There's a spring in there. There's actually a couple of springs. There's a flat spring, and then there's an actual spring. Coil round spring. There's that. That's pulled up. Now I just use this to kind of wipe that back and around and out. And I really should sew this down before I sew the pull tab on. That closes it.
Most of these, do you like remember the exact measurements of everything?
Yeah, I've done so many of them, and I actually cut all of this with no cut list. I cut all this just out of my head yesterday. I need one more of that right there. I need one more of those 3-inch pieces of 1-inch webbing. Here it is. Yeah, when I was in prison, we had a chick that we called her my office manager. I guess she was kind of my office manager. And she took off and stole all the cut books. So my mom and wife were at the shop, and they're like, hey, we don't have any of the math. And I actually wrote down all of the cut lists that we had on paper and mailed them home. And that's what they built everything off of the couple years I was gone. They were just, it was all in my head still. I can't remember words to a fucking song that I've heard 1,000 times, but I know all the fucking math for all these products somehow. All right, let's put some edge tape down. So I'm going to run this long. You'll see why in a minute. These wings, I'm going to leave these right there. Oh man, I didn't box that yet. I'm going to do the same thing here too. You'll see why in a minute. I'll just leave all those together for a moment. Get this out of the way. Box this other pocket here. How long have we been going so far?
45 minutes.
45 minutes to build 2 pockets. They take some time. We'll go ahead and edge this other piece here now that we've got this. That's just the second line in the edge tape. I'm going to kick these inboard because I'm going to cover them with Velcro and you will not see them. And I'm pulling them inboard and down, so they're kicked down a little bit. You could also sew them to the back if you wanted to, because these are all going on a rig. You won't see the back of these. But this is how we do it. We're going to put pals on the back if they're standalone Rallyman mag pouches, so these tabs go towards the inside, and we conceal it with Velcro. And that Velcro is the Velcro liner, which is what the magazine pouch lid is going to affix to. And that is these right here. And this is 6 inches. You have 6 inches of Velcro in here that you can raise that lid up and down. You're obviously not going to use all 6 of it. You need to have several inches of contact surface, but it gives you 3 or 4 inches of upward travel. Or a few inches of downward travel if you're using something much shorter in these. And then if you were to put an item in here that's shorter than the front of the mag, you can just bump it up in the bottom with something to space that up so you can get a grasp on it. Grip, grasp, purchase, whatever you... Where did all of my mag pouches go into this one? There's that one. There's that one. Same thing, I'm going to kick these tabs in and then conceal it with Velcro so you don't see them. So I don't even have to worry about burning, searing those edges of that tape. I am missing one of this. Here it is. It's stuck to the other one. I'm messing that up. That needs to hang down a couple inches. It will behoove you, meaning benefit you, it'll benefit you if you have a table next to your sewing machine. And sometimes even in front, that's a run-out table, so work will run forward and not fall down. But to have something like almost like a cubicle where you can have stuff on the sides. these are the pull tabs, which will go on the ends of the lids here. And if you're truly badass, you can just fold this and make this like this. I did it for years. I don't know why. It's actually faster to not do that and just sew this just a couple of grains in and then go back, you know, and usually we're building these 100 tabs at a time or so. So we just run everything in a line. And if you're running things in a line, tack them when you start and stop. And then when you run right into the next piece, tack it when you start and stop also. Because to separate all of these, we're going to leave them attached, and we're just going to pull tension on here, and it's going to stretch just enough I can get a blade through there. And because it's tacked, it's not going to come undone, and then you don't have near the cleanup on any of it. You feel me?
You mean?
So this is our pull tab. It's something to grab onto. We have seen guys put bullet casings in here. We've seen guys put something in there and sew the end shut. I leave a channel here so that you, as the end user, can put 550 cord in here. You can put a couple loops, that way you can get a hold of it with gloves. We've seen guys put tape with monkey fists, all kinds of shit. It's personal preference. Whatever macrame you like the best. I think that there are people listening nowadays that have no idea what macrame is. Do you?
Are you talking about like
Fancy rope knots? Every time a person's like, I do paracord, I'm like, you do macrame, motherfucker. you just trying to.
Don't want to say the word.
Yeah, don't try to cool it up. I put that on the wrong side. It goes on this side actually. Don't try to church up your knot tying. Okay, did I just cut it off the wrong side? No. I cut it off the wrong side. This is the right side. Man down.
2 men down.
Dango dizzle. 2 menses, the 2 utes.
2 men's utes.
I need one more buckle. Okay. I'll show you what this looks like. That's the pull tab. This is the Velcro. TJ sends me a video link the other night, Bear, and he's like, this is you if you played the piano professionally and took a lot of pre-workout. I'm like, what the fuck is this going to be? I'll show you the video. Where do I want this at? 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Let's go 1 inch from the edge here on this.
You ever sewn your finger?
I've never, I laugh at I'm like, there's no fucking way you sewed your finger.
Little girl pinky finger, they'll fit right in there.
I have, while this is lifted and I'm bullshitting with somebody or doing something, I've gone to reach up and ripped the tip of my finger on the edge. Yeah, and it usually looks like this right here. That's not what actually happened. I don't know how I got that little slice, but with it being freezing outside and being outside so much over the last week, yeah, it just kept cracked. I've got one on my lip too. Yeah. Like I mean, unless I get hit or something, I've never had like a busted lip from weather.
You need to go, get that person with the giant chapstick.
I hate chapstick. I hate putting fucking anything on my lips. And I'm like, Amanda, I need some chapstick. And I actually put chapstick on yesterday for the first time in, I don't know, since I was a child. I'm like, I need something for my lips. She's like, oh, I got something. I've got a salve and I'm pouring it in. I'm like, Amanda, I just need chapstick. Oh, that's way easier. All right, let me go get a buckle.
Did you get the buckle that you were looking for? Oh, it's hidden.
Where'd the other one come from? Did you just find this?
No, it was laying right there.
What the fuck?
You literally said we got 2 buckles right here. And then you said, I've got to go get another one.
Oh, I don't know what's going. Maybe it's the piece of webbing I'm thinking of. Do you see a piece of webbing before I go get one?
I think that's what you were actually meaning to go get.
Here. Do I have one? Here's one. No?
Is it the right size?
No.
That's what you were talking about earlier, is going to get webbing.
Got it.
That's why I was like, why?
Okay, well, there's something that's happened between the door and here.
It's all this bright light you're having to work under.
It's all the lack of light. Sometimes I just sew random buckles. They're like, what goes here? Nothing goes there.
You just throw in an extra buckle.
It's like that extra button in your shirt. I didn't know for 40 years, I didn't know what that extra button was for. We used to go to sewing shops with my mom, you know, because everybody sewed when we were young, like every woman sewed. So you would just have to go to the fucking sewing store with mom and grandma and aunt and everyone. And they had these cabinets you pulled out, and you never knew what was in these motherfuckers. I don't know how they knew what was in them, because there was no picture or anything on the front. You had to pull it out, and it was a billion kinds of fucking buttons and snaps and shit, made of everything. And to this day, I don't know how they knew what the fuck was in those. I don't think they did. I think they just finally got tired of pulling hundreds of drawers open. They're like, fuck it, I'll take these ones. All right, so this is how these go. This goes here. And what we're gonna do is these actually get sewn on the panel. They get sewn on the vest panel. This goes here. And a lot of times I don't sew the bottom. I actually sew here, around. And then because I'm gonna close and box this, this gets sewn 5 times on the sides. And the reason I leave that bottom piece open is because it allows you to take this and tuck this up between the panel, and it'll stay there, so that if you don't want that buckle there, you don't want that Fastex buckle, you don't need the security or noise discipline, you can just rip Velcro. For all you weirdos that are like, but they'll hear me, I'm pretty sure they already heard that first 30 rounds that you just dumped out of that fucking rifle. So that's just something. You can do it, you can not do it, whatever you want to do. That could be your whole selling point. Well, we sew the bottoms of our mag pouches closed, and SOE doesn't. You do you, boo-boo. So that's how that goes. And that kind of looks like this. And that buckle goes there, and then a buckle goes here and click. Is that how it goes? Shall we give them a mag pouch? Shall we go ahead and incorporate that here? Let's go ahead and put one on. You want to see how this goes? You don't?
Let's see how
you want to see how it goes?
Let's see how it goes.
Do you know how it goes?
I know how it goes.
Because you have this at home?
No. I've just seen you do it.
And we still have to, that's a good question. Do I want to edge that or do I want to try to catch that all together? Okay, we'll sew it. What am I hearing? You hear it?
Sounds like air leaking or something.
Ooh, that's really high. Let's put that right there. I really don't know why I sew those on there before I close them. We never used to. We actually would build pocket sets and just have hundreds of pockets made, just waiting to put on panels for the configuration. Because we used to build vests where a guy could come in and he's like, hey, I want this pocket here, but I want a big utility pocket here, or I want small pocket here, big pocket here. And the reason they would do that is because it's 2 mags and 3 mags, and when you lay prone, it's just a little bit flatter. And who are we to tell a guy who's going to go out there and actually get shot at how he wants his gear, especially if he's not asking. So we just gave them whatever they asked for. They all became ninjas, and they were all kung fu fighting. Punches were fast as lightning. It's been a long time since I've put a mag pouch on a panel. I guess it hasn't been that long. I've got those Titanium black rigs in there. I built all of those. It has been so long since we have built these rigs that I don't think I have a single person in this building that's built one of these rigs. There is a lady who works here named Linda, and she was the second or third person I ever hired. Ooh, it's not supposed to make that sound. And she is currently out with a broken leg. She's been out for quite a while. She actually retired and then came back to work. And she has built some of these rigs. And Melinda, I guess Melinda has built some of these rigs too. So 2 people here. What is going on here? Have you ever met Lance?
Yes.
Where did you meet Lance?
Blade show.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lance is coming out here. Do you know this?
No.
Lance is coming out, and he's going to teach Amanda how to make the soap that he made for us.
Oh, okay.
So he'll be here for a few days. We'll catch some podcasts. We'll talk about some stuff, and maybe do an old breakfast video. Maybe we'll go to the other building and get the old the electric burner, and stand in the shed and do like a real breakfast video. Somebody said something about that on Patreon today, I think, about the old school videos when we used to read comments. It's a trip, man. All of us knew each other before the internet existed. Okay, so this is going through, if you're going to build these, this is 4 layers of material here, and this is 6 layers. So you're going through 6 layers of material right here, plus this webbing, plus this layer. So 6, 7, 8. And when you're going through here, you're going through 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 layers of materials with that edge tape. So if you're going to break a needle, this is where it's going to happen. So if you are not real confident at sewing, start very slow, and you can thumb it. Like you can feel where that needle's chugging. You can just give it a little roll with your thumb on this. That's why these wheels here have no paint on them. That's why they're silver. They don't actually come silver. And it's aluminum is what you're getting. So you're probably getting a ton of aluminum in your body somehow. But take your time, because if you're going to break something, if you're going to knock this machine completely out of time, this is where it's going to happen. Sewing through that thick stuff. And what that means when you knock that out of time, come here, I'll show you. This needle goes through this material and is supposed to go through this hole. And that hole there goes through this hole here. And then it catches and it clocks and it picks the thread up and everything. When this needle goes through all of this material, sometimes it deflects a little and it doesn't go through this hole and it strikes over here to the side. Best case scenario is you shatter this needle and a piece gets in your face and not your eye. Worst case scenario is you don't shatter the needle, it jams the needle all the way up and it has nowhere to go inside this needle bar. So it jams this needle bar all the way up inside, and you can adjust it, kind of. Absolute worst case is that doesn't happen. That goes up, it knocks everything out of time in here and breaks something up top. And then that's beyond my capability to, well, I mean, I could figure out how to fix it, but I'm not going to fix that machine. I'm going to stand up and get on a different machine, and a man's going to come here in a few weeks, and he's going to unfuck the things that I have destroyed. Get a relationship with a sewing tech. When you get one, whatever he's charging you, pay him extra, tip him. Those guys are a dying breed. The dude we use will be in Texas, and then Florida, and then Mississippi, and then here. And like have that dude's number, have a relationship with those people, because they are few and far between. Chances of you finding somebody local that does that stuff, you might. We've had a bunch of guys that, like, I work at Carhartt, and they can't fix fucking anything. I don't know what is going on at some of these places that they maintain these full-time techs, but we've not, and I have friends that are techs that work at Carhartt, and they don't know shit about fixing these sewing machines. It's a trip that I can get a dude to come here from another state that can just fix this motherfucker. So that's what that looks like. The next one goes exactly the same place beside it and does the same thing here, just like that. And like magic, we built 2 pockets, and then there were 4. That's because I built 2 yesterday on live feed so that we didn't have to do them on the video here. This is running long. We're going to go ahead and cut this off. When you come back in a few minutes next week, we'll have these on here. We'll sew the pallets, we'll close the panel, and then that'll be the finishing. So 5-part series. Those are the pouches right there. That's what they look like. And we're going to give this away to a Patreon member. If you want to win this, it's $5 to join our Patreon. There's only one level currently, and that is $5. You get on there, you ask questions, me and Jeff build videos, and we will use a random number generator. The way you win, you don't have to do anything really, just go over there, and we're going to give this away to one of you guys, and that's how we do our giveaways currently. Do you hear that? What is that?
I do. I don't know what that is.
It's got to be a sewing machine. It sounds like a frog or a cricket whistling.
Yeah.
All right. Shouldn't have hit the hamburger, man. It's really sucked the life out of me.
I know.
Don't put shit in your mouth you know shouldn't go there. That means dicks. No dicks in your mouth. Well, I mean, unless that's your thing, whatever. If you want to be the dick guy in your mouth, that's fine. Or if you're a chick, you can put dicks in your mouth.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about realest, one of the realest to try. My family, SOE, got the tools.